Welcome to Interesting Times, the podcast featuring yours truly, Gideon Evans, and
me, Matt Moses.
Matt Moses. We are both with you.
Hey. So Gideon, have you been reading about this trial? I wish I could say watching. You know, I still wish we could see it. I was just listening to some commentator saying that she thinks that there's going to be a conviction of Trump. Wow. We're talking about the Trump trial now, obviously, everyone. But she says that she thinks people are not going to be prepared for it because people haven't been paying that much attention. Big part of the reason is it's not televised. It's not televised, yeah.
Well, the one argument in favor of a possible conviction, other than the fact that there is a lot of evidence, I was saying to you, Matt, was that apparently the jury has been very engaged and very serious. And to me that says there aren't like some crazy MAGA person on the jury.
Oh, that's a good point.
If there was, they'd kind of give themselves away, I think.
Right, making doofy faces.
Exactly.
Wearing a diaper to the court every day. Have you heard about this whole diaper I was just reading that.
No.
It's become more of a thing because I guess because of, I think Cohen had nicknamed him something like Shitty Pants or something like that. Or Diaper Don or something. I don't know the reality behind it, but apparently all his minions are like sticking up for him. And
real men wear diapers,
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you have. It's like I thought it was just all a bit, but from what I'm reading now, it seems like they're actually doing it, which is just what? I don't know. I can't see Democrats doing that. You know.
Totally. And I mean, one thing I think I also mentioned to you, the thing that gives me pause about his conviction is that there are two lawyers on the jury,
right?
And like, I just wonder if the lawyers are going to be like critical of the way the prosecution is doing the case, and what kind of lawyers are they too? Like, are they defense lawyers? That might make them feel like they're against the prosecution, but maybe not. Maybe they'll be fair.
That would be, yeah. I don't know. I did in this commentator was also saying that the prosecution has been very quick. It's going by very fast,
yes.
Which she says juries like that. But just also on your point about them being lawyers, just in my personal experience, last time I was selected for jury duty a few months ago. Well, I wasn't selected. I went and was in voir dire, and the people it was a case about a medical thing and insurance, and I forget the actual
civil
details.
Case.
Yeah, it was a civil case, and they ended up selecting all these nurses and other medical people.
Oh, wow.
Which surprised me because I thought they would want to stay away from people who are really steeped in the world of it. But I don't know what the thinking there is in terms of choosing people who are so familiar.
Right. I mean, I think things have changed. They probably used to not take certain types of people all the time, and then they've kind of changed their opinion about those things. I remember, the Brooklyn courthouse is in Brooklyn Heights, and the headquarters of the Jehovah's Witnesses used to be there.
Sure. Oh, is it still not there? The watchtower?
I think they moved to upstate, so they're not there anymore. But there were always people who were interviewed for the voir dire, and when they revealed that they were Jehovah's Witnesses, they almost automatically got kicked off because the judge would say, can you follow? It's the Constitution as important as the Bible or something like that. And they'd always say, nope, the Bible is my book. So
wow, that's really interesting. You'd think that would leave out tons of evangelical Christians as well. Although maybe they would say they're both equal or something.
I don't know. I don't know the intricacies between the contrast between evangelicals and Jehovah's Witnesses. I know that Jehovah's Witnesses don't celebrate birthdays. Did you know that?
I did. I think just holidays in general. It's a no.
Yes.
A bunch of Republicans in Congress showed up at the trial and gave a press conference outside, and they all spoke in order. Matt Gaetz is a notable one, and then Lauren Boebert was there as she spoke, but then at the very end, as they were wrapping up the press conference, she jumped in front and took back the mic, and here is what she said.
And I want all of the news to start asking the question, what is the crime? Because everyone in this court has not been informed of what the crime is. The defendant does not know the crime that was committed.
So, the defendant does not know the crime that was committed. Doesn't seem like a great thing to say, that he has no knowledge of it. It makes him sound like he's senile to me. It doesn't. And she posted this also on her Twitter, which I was like, this doesn't seem like the thing you want to get out there. Maybe the earlier clip. She's also being heckled like here.
A child. Oh, what are they heckling?
They're saying Beetlejuice.
Oh my God! Like the musical, because she had that incident in D.C.
right
during the show.
Yes.
Beetlejuice. What happened? She fondled somebody, or she got kicked out?
She was grabbed. She was on a date, I guess, and she was just grabbing the guy's crotch. I think that's as far as I remember. And
we know the people who wrote Beetlejuice.
We do.
Anthony and Scott.
Right. I mean, I think it was I think it was a very successful musical to begin with, but I think it helped out and got a lot of attention. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's really funny. Oh my goodness.
It's hilarious.
Well, those hecklers are really in the know.
Yeah. It's such a New York heckler too. Just like
totally.
Just like shouting it out from the side. I don't know.
That's great. So Michael Cohen is finishing his testimony.
Yes.
The prosecution interviewed him, and now the defense is interviewing him. One random stupid thing that I thought would be funny to say, that probably isn't, is that imagine if it wasn't Michael Cohen that was the big witness here, but it was Michael Caine.
Oh man.
I mean, that would really help the prosecution. It's just one vowel sound. It would change everything.
Michael Caine.
There you go. I was thinking I can't do an impression, so I'm glad you could.
Have you seen that? I forget what it's from. It's a British comedian does an amazing impression.
Oh, right.
Of him. Do you know
What's
what I'm talking about?
Name? Yeah, the yes.
Yeah, man, I love Michael Caine. That would be amazing. I could, he would have to get into one part of his range, I think, to play it, because he can get into the like, I'm weak now.
Right. Well, did you ever watch his famous tape teaching people how to act?
No.
Oh my God. Oh my God. It's the best thing on earth.
Oh, what's his lesson?
I have to really find it. Well, it's not that there's one specific lesson, but he has these amazing moments where he says, here's what you do. And we're talking about Michael Caine now, not Michael Cohen. He's like, here's what you do when you want to have strength and when you want to come across that way. And here's what you do when you want to seem weak. And he gives these incredible, like, small physical tips, like about like what to do with your eyes and making eye contact and not blinking if you're strong, and then the opposite if you're like wavering and weak. And he demonstrates it, and the way he demonstrates it, it's just magic. And I always like that tape like blew me away as a kid.
That's hilarious. It's also so, like, not the way they normally teach acting. Like,
right.
It's sort of like, well, here's how you do sad. And
right.
I mean, it's a little more like about playing an intention there, I suppose, the way it's set up.
Right,
but still,
right.
just
but
it's great.
Film,
I love
if
that.
the camera's so close to your face. Well, it's also kind of like that whole Dustin Hoffman, Laurence Olivier thing.
Of what?
When Hoffman, remember when they were in that movie? What was that movie?
Oh,
Is
right.
It Safe or whatever? What was that shit?
Yes, I've heard the story. Yeah.
And then Dustin Hoffman is like doing the method thing where he's like not getting sleep, and then Laurence Olivier is like, my dear boy, it's called acting. You know, he's like, just like pretend to do it. It's just making it seem so ridiculous, the whole method.
Yeah, that was like at its peak, I guess, in the 70s.
Yeah.
Right? Or, I mean, I guess it was in the 50s as well.
God, I wish I remembered that film. Is it safe?
Was it Marathon Man?
Marathon Man, thank you.
Okay. The only reason I guessed that is because I remember he would like run to set or something in the morning and just be like...
That's right. And be dirty. And
yeah.
But it's not Michael Caine, it's Michael Cohen.
Yes.
So has he been doing... Apparently he's been doing a good job.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like he's just being pretty straightforward. Like they asked him... because they're trying to tear down his credibility, and they asked him, like, oh, so you lied on the stand about this because you were just looking out for yourself. And he was like, yes. That's
right.
Bye. And then followed it up with, like, and do you have any personal interest in what the, result of this case is? And he just said, yes. Which
right.
I don't know. It just seems like they're trying to trip him up and get him stumbling over his words or something. But the fact that he's being sort of very straightforward, I think, is supposedly going well.
And he's saying like "yes, ma'am" and "yes, sir."
Oh, is he really?
I think
funny.
so. Which people say is pretty good.
Yeah.
And the first question by the defense in the cross-examination, I think, was like, you wrote on social media that I'm a big shit or something. Like the lawyer made it about himself. And I think they just were hoping he'd get tripped up, that he's confronting him like that.
Right.
And then Michael Cohen was like, that sounds right,
Yeah, it's like, okay. Like, what? Yeah. The whole thing of tearing down a witness and making them seem unreliable and playing up how they're a liar, it's tough to do in a trial with Trump. I mean, who's a bigger liar,
true.
Right? So, of course, anybody who's in his employ is going to be a liar, right? But again, we go back to this question we bring up all the time is, how much do these people know about Trump? They're supposed to be going in virgins and not knowing or having that many opinions about this, but how is that possible?
Right. And then, I mean, the one reason why it could be important that Michael Cohen is believed is that they have to find out, they have to tie everything to Trump, right?
Right.
It's pretty clear that, like, there was this deal to pay off this woman and hush her up, Stormy Daniels, and there's paperwork, and Cohen has texts between him and other witnesses, but there's not a ton of stuff tying Trump to it, other than Michael Cohen's word for it.
Right.
So I think that's why they're trying. And there was a moment today where they were like, where Michael Cohen claimed to have had a phone call with Trump himself, and then it turned out maybe he had only spoken to Keith Schiller, to Trump's guy. So that was a few of the people on TV were like, that was actually pretty effective for the defense.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess you ultimately have to believe that Cohen went and did this on his own, right?
Which seems crazy.
Right.
I mean, that whole beyond a reasonable doubt and what that means, and maybe those lawyer jurors can explain it, what that means to the other jurors.
Yeah.
But it's like, it just seems so unlikely that some worker would make that deal without knowing if he's going to get paid back.
Right. It just doesn't. That's exactly. Like, why would he do that? Especially, and they're also. This is part of the problem of them questioning him and making the case that he's out for himself. If he's out for himself, yeah, he would be doing that to please his boss, and but also covering his butt and knowing that he's going to get paid back. I'm curious if the defense is going to really be able to make the affirmative case that he took action on his own rather than
but they don't
just cast
need
doubt.
to make. I mean, they will make the claim. They don't need to make that case. that
They
it
don't.
is-
They
it's the
don't, but-
state's case to make, and they can just punch holes in it.
Right. They don't need to, but I think they don't technically, sure, but at the same time, I think they do need to get people to believe that he acted on his own, because there's no the only other conclusion is that Trump was involved, and then he is guilty.
Right, and then there's all this stuff with the way they kind of plussed up. Is that the word that they use?
What is it?
The money. Cohen basically wrote $130,000. This check for $130,000.
Yeah.
But because they claim that it wasn't for reimbursement, it was a lawyer's fee. That's taxable income. So Michael Cohen and what's his name, Weisselberg, had the chat that, like, if they paid him back $130,000, that wouldn't be fair to Cohen, because Cohen would have to pay a third of that amount on top of it in taxes. So there is a whole sheet that Weisselberg, wrote on that basically does the math to figure out how much the payback will be. And if he is being taxed, it's all so crazy. It just
that also
sense.
really firms it up even more.
Yeah.
Like, if you're being paid back in this very specific amount that includes, a third more than $130,000 to cover taxes,
And what boss is going to agree to sign a check every month for that amount without knowing what the check is that you're signing?
Yes, absolutely. And they have to also make a case that what they were paying him for.
Right.
If they weren't paying him for that. And as far as I know, they haven't made that case yet, so.
They just say it was a retainer.
Right.
But apparently,
yeah.
Cohen wasn't officially working for Trump as a staffer, as a paid staffer, when they were paying those checks.
Exactly.
So the work that Cohen was doing for Trump was so little, it was small. So it doesn't make any sense that he would be getting that large of a retainer.
Exactly, because the payment isn't structured the way that would normally be paid.
Right.
As an employee. Yeah.
And the amount. But he wasn't an employee at that time. Right. He would have had to have been an employee to get. Well, although he wouldn't need a retainer if he was an employee.
I think though that you do, right? Like, you have somebody on retainer,
but if it's your lawyer on your staff, I don't think you need to hire him. He's already working for you. I think a retainer is just if you're independently hiring a lawyer.
Oh, okay.
To make it clear that, okay, we're starting work together now, so you know when the privilege starts and all that.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay, well then maybe they have a good excuse.
I don't know about that, but it definitely wouldn't be that amount of money.
What do you think the reaction is going to be if, either way? Because I wonder how far off we are. Maybe a month away from this, you think, or even sooner?
I think it's sooner. I think it's going to end in a week, the trial.
Wow. So maybe 2 weeks from now.
I think we're going to know in a week.
Wow.
Or maybe a little more, but it depends on how many witnesses the defense calls. But I think Cohen is the last prosecutor witness, and it seems like the defense may only call one witness, but maybe none.
Right. Yeah. Do you know who they're going to call? I can't even.
Somebody said there's this guy Costello. Do you know about him? He's the Giuliani tried to get Cohen to take a lawyer that was associated with Trump, so that they wouldn't, throw Trump under the bus.
Right.
So I don't know. This guy, I think he testified before Congress too, or in some other hearings. Costello. So he might be the only one, or some expert on the rules, on the law.
Right.
Who knows? But it's going to be shocking. Either way, it'll be shocking. I'll be shocked either way. Although I won't be shocked if he's acquitted. I kind of expect that. I'll expect the worst.
Yes, I kind of still expect him to be acquitted. I agree.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like when does he ever come up
held accountable?
Yeah,
Right.
it seems like, but at the same time, it will be a little shocking either way, I guess.
Yeah, and if he gets acquitted, will that, like, he can claim victory? Will he get a bump
Yeah,
in his campaign?
yeah, because I guess everything else is nothing's going to happen with. Although there might be some news going forward about things happening with the other trials, but not an actual trial.
There was a poll, I think, that was taken recently where a fairly large amount of people said they won't support him if he's found guilty.
That's interesting.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting how he's doing pretty well in the polls, though, despite this.
I know.
It's still that thing about the economy that you have to wonder if, we're just not seeing some part of it that we should be.
I think there are people who, speaking of the economy, who basically, it's always a mistake to say, I created a great economy and right now is the best economy. Because the people who are suffering never see it that way.
Sure.
And even people with jobs aren't necessarily happy about the economy. People have debt.
Right. I mean, that's going to be most of the people, considering right now the unemployment rate is so super low.
Low, yeah, exactly. But they always say that candidates should always say, we have work to do, not like...
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden is saying that. Yeah.
He is. That's good.
But it is a question, why are people so unhappy with the economy when everything says that it's very good? The only thing I can come up with is housing prices are so insane.
Groceries.
And groceries, too. But I don't know about you. I've gotten kind of used to the grocery thing now. I feel like it's been kind of the same for a while now. It hasn't,
wait till your kids are teenagers and they start eating a lot more.
You're right.
Oh, my God.
That's a lot. I know. Well, the thing is, they don't eat a lot, mine, but I still have to have a lot around for them to, like, gnaw on and then not
right.
eat.
And you also have to pay for diapers and that sort of thing, right?
Yes, but we're almost. I mean, she's 2.5, but we're in the midst of doing it, and it's happening.
I think it's that whole kitchen table politics thing of just, like, I don't know. Everybody, even rich people, feel like they're struggling because they pay too many taxes. It's just like there are so few people that feel like things are great and they're free and clear. I think rich people also feel like they're going to lose everything.
Why is that?
Because they have a lot to lose.
Right. But why do they think they're going to lose it? Like they think
I think people are just paranoid, like the stock market's going to crash or...
Right.
The new president's going to create some crazy tax bracket that's going to take away all their money.
Right.
I'm not speaking as a fan of that philosophy, but I do think that is kind of the way a lot of people think.
Right. Everyone's scared.
And I think people live beyond their means, too. It's the whole, like, Susie Orman thing where she's like, don't move to a bigger place. Just, like, stay in the same... Just spend what you're spending, even if you're making more, and then just sock that money away.
Yes, I will say that has served me well. And I think that's like anybody who works in entertainment or any kind of freelancer, like, has to live that way, kind of.
You'd think, but I don't know that people do.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think about that all the time. Just here in LA, just how many luxury cars I see.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, maybe it's just they're buying them used because they are vastly cheaper if they're used.
Yeah, leasing them.
Or leasing too. But
car culture is so important. Like if you go to a big interview, you want people to see that you're driving a cool car in LA. I know people are very like superficial out there. Not you, of course, but
no. Well, see, I think the power move is to drive a trash car. Who's the guy who directed Interstellar and that Oppenheimer? I forget his name.
Oh, Nolan.
Christopher Nolan. My aunt is, my cousin is an editor, and she worked with him on a couple films, and he apparently drove this super duper old Honda Civic from like the 80s that was all beat up, which to me, I'm like, that's power move right there.
Totally. That's amazing. Well, I kind of agree that like sometimes if you go to a party where people are dressed up, you'll see someone who's not dressed up. Right. And you're kind of like, that guy's probably like some super rich hedge fund guy. Yeah. Because he's like, fuck it, I can get away with this.
Yeah, well, anybody who's wearing labels or showing labels, it's usually a little like that. Too much. To me, that shows maybe you do have some money, but you're not, definitely not like real rich.
That's funny. That's funny.
It's terrible.
Warren Buffett, I mean, he's very like down
right.
to
He eats
earth.
he eats the Egg McMuffin every morning.
He probably drives like a regular car.
Yeah.
Well, he probably owns like some American car company too, but that's his whole thing. And I think he had his one of his last, meetings, whatever annual meetings, right. And those are like, it's like Woodstock, those things for Berkshire Hathaway.
I know, it's wild. It is. Anybody who like beats the market so consistently is so rare. So it's wild. Yeah, is he retiring? Is that why you said one of the last ones?
I think he's kind of starting to hand off control to other people.
He must be in his later 80s at this point, no? Like
yeah, I think he must be. He might be even be 90s.
Yeah, wow. Good for him, you know?
Oh, totally. No, he's done it the right way.
Yeah.
He hasn't, like, done any, like, Enron stuff, really.
No,
he's
not
basically like, I like this candy, let's invest in that. See's Candy.
Is that true? Did he invest in See's Candy?
I think so. I think he might own it.
That's
so
hilarious.
Good candy.
Do you guys have See's Candy in Brooklyn? I forget.
No, but I ordered some this past year.
We have a store here in Glendale for See's Candy.
We might have a store somewhere, but I don't know. Not as
much might have shut
as
down,
in
though.
California. Really?
Well, because they're just putting in all these like luxury stores at the mall by us. The Americana, if you haven't heard. Which is like the other version of the Grove. It's like the East Side version of the Grove. If you know the Grove, it's sort of like this mall that looks like it's like a Disneyland kind of thing almost. Well, anybody who likes Disneyland would be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" But it's just like this. Like they pipe Frank Sinatra through the speakers.
Oh, great!
And there's like small town Americana walking around the streets feel. It's it's as good as you get out here.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap up with a definitive prediction. Guilty or not guilty, and then maybe next episode we'll have a result.
Let's say I'm going to say not guilty.
I'm going to actually say guilty, so that'll be good. We'll have something to talk about. And we could even use this as our audio, as our clip.
Okay. Do you feel it in your bones? Because I do kind of think maybe he will be guilty, but I want to say not guilty, so then I won't be too depressed.
I kind of do think the fact that the jurors have been engaged is a pretty good sign, kind of hinting towards he's going to be found guilty. Some people said that they shouldn't end with Michael Cohen, that they should have had an expert explaining the law and why he is guilty.
That's smart.
It might leave them cold. But I imagine the judge will explain the law. And also, if they do have two lawyers on the jury, that they can explain it too.
Closing statement.
I'm going to say guilty. I mean, they're going to appeal it. Nobody's going to jail.
Yeah.
But that could be pretty exciting.
Oh, right. The stupid appeal. No one's even going to go to jail.
Yeah, no one's going to go to jail.
Oh, man. This is real life is so unsatisfying compared to TV. I am not happy about this. So what happens? They do that, and then he let's say he loses the appeal. Then does he go to jail?
Yeah, he could go to jail after the appeal.
Yeah, but he's president then, right? And he is,
if he wins,
he's deporting like us and everybody else, right? Because we're going to get deported as well, probably.
You think? He'll ship off the Jews.
Well, we're
or you're not Jewish. I keep thinking you're Jewish. You're
I'm a quarter. So,
but
I
think he'll let the quarter Jews. He'll let you be all right. But if you're like 100% Ashkenazi,
you're
like
screwed
me,
then, huh?
I'm screwed. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but he might just not. I mean, he might be fine with the Jews. Does have his son-in-law is Jewish, so it might be more a matter of just the creative intellectual types like us, And you're from Brooklyn. You're a big city guy. That might be the thing.
Yeah, for sure. And we're talking shit about him on this podcast.
Right. We should be.
You'll
we
find
should start.
that.
I know. Oh my gosh, we're on a list.
I know.
All right.
All right. Well, awesome. This has been very interesting and very amusing. And again, they should have called Michael Caine, I think.
Michael Caine. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch that now. Yeah.
I hope it's on YouTube. If I find it, I'll send you the link. Everybody should watch it. It's amazing.
Excellent.
Well, have a great rest of your week and weekend, and take care, everybody. Hope you have an interesting week.